everyone, and thank you all for being here. Life unfolding. I have to tell you, when I first looked at the topic, life unfolding, my roadrunner thinking started trying to find an image, a visual image, to match what I was reading, life unfolding. So I actually thought of a tulip that was opening up. And then the next thing I thought of, there's a sheet unfolding, like you're going to put it on a bed. And I shook my head, and I'm going, no, these are not the unfolding that we're talking about, because both of those have an end. When you get the sheet unfolded, you put it on the bed. And we had a bouquet of tulips at our house last week, and they unfolded and fell on the floor, and they were all over the place. I am sure that's not what we're talking about. Ernest Holmes says that what is unfolding is our own consciousness. That in fact, we have a limitless potential from which we can unfold. It is simply ours to begin with. Now, our teaching often says, we make a statement, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Well, that spiritual being part of us is the part that's unfolding. But Ernest Holmes also adds that we have this limitless potential that is eternal, but we can only unfold the amount that we can conceive of and that we can claim. There was a town in the Midwest that grew up around a company. It was a single owner, a family that owned this company, and it's gone on for a number of generations. By the late 90s, this company, the last person that was left in charge of it, began to see possibly some big changes ahead for both his company and for the people in the town. That he wanted to do something proactive. So education is the key, he thought. So he started offering scholarships to all of the high school seniors. They were invited to apply. All of the students that applied got an interview with the owner. And he asked them questions that you can imagine, like, what is your area of study? Why? Where do you want to go to school? And why would you choose that school over another one? And there were other questions. But then he got down to the one question that he was really interested in. He asked them, how much money do you want for each semester that you're in school? Now, whatever answer the students gave, he challenged them on that answer. And they kind of went back and forth. And then the interview would come to an end, and he said to them, now, if you accept an award that you are given, there's two conditions. One is you can never disclose the amount of this award, and you have to make good grades. I'm even going to pay you through the school, so the money doesn't actually come directly from me. So the students, of course, agreed with that. And at the end of the process, every student that applied got a scholarship. And the amount of the scholarship was exactly what they asked for. So what Ernest Holmes says is we can only have what we can conceive and what we can claim. In our culture, or at least in the culture I grew up in, I was either taught or I absorbed from the culture that I didn't need to ask for very much. I can remember being in grade school and thinking that consciously. By the time I got to graduate school, I had the opportunity to apply for a scholarship. And for reasons that really didn't have anything to do with the awarding of the money, I chose not to do that. I scrounged a good bit that first year for cash, needlessly, because I refused to actually ask for the assistance. I refused to even try. And I find that very interesting, but yet I see that reflected in our culture in many ways. We refuse to ask for what we need, what we want, what help we need. I have heard in one example, just here in this center, you know, I would like to ask Jane if she could assist with this project. She's so creative, she would be just wonderful. But you know, she is really busy, and she has a lot of time, a lot of things on her plate right now. I don't think I'll ask her. I've heard it often enough that I'm training myself to say, why don't we just ask Jane and let her decide if she can manage this project? And yet, this is something that is happening. We decide ahead of time to deny assistance and help. I hear it a great deal connected with employment, with jobs, applying for jobs. I hear variations of reasons that go something like, I applied for a job last week. It makes a lot more money than the one I have now, but the office setup is different from what I'm used to, and I don't know any of the people there. I don't know if I should take it. A very wise man said to my daughter once upon a time, never turn down a job that you haven't been offered yet. And I think he came up with that statement because that was something he was hearing quite a bit. But I think it's in our nature somehow, some part of our natures, to respond in some protective way, negatively. How many times in all of our experiences does something come along that's out of our comfort zone perhaps, something that's interesting but not something we've done before, and our first thought might be, gosh, that's kind of cool, I might like to do that. But is our second thought to think of all the reasons why we can't do it? Or is it to think, gosh, that really sounds cool, I'm going to see if I can figure out a way. And very often we simply deny ourselves the opportunities to do these things. We'll use money and time, which can be an issue for anyone, anytime. But sometimes we use it as an excuse, as a reason to say that we can't do things, when the reasons may be things that we're not completely aware of. I know that in my own experience that I have seen this happen over and over again. Many times we respond from some place in our experience that we don't understand. It's something within ourselves. When I didn't apply for the scholarship, I put limitations on myself all on my own. And I don't know why I did that. It came from some place within. I've read a psychiatrist's statement that if we knew what was going on with ourselves, it wouldn't be unconscious. That we call it unconscious for a reason, because it's coming through us without our necessarily being aware of what's going on. This thing called life is unfolding for us when we are with it and when we're in charge of it. And I am not suggesting that we all run to a psychiatrist's couch to try and figure out our unconscious motivations, because our teaching is that we don't actually have to know what the why is, why we respond negatively in certain situations. What we do need to know is what we want to do about it. And one of the things that we can do is first to get clear. What is it do I want? Do I want to experience life more fully? Is that an intention that I want? I get clear about, I want to raise the bar on my limitless potential. And then I set an intention around that to no longer support those unconscious negative reactions that I may have been making. And once we set that intention, then the law, the universe, everything conspires to help us do whatever it is that we are intending to do. The third thing we need to do is be open, because once you set an intention, your intuition is going to give you the stimulus that you need to follow through on that idea. A number of years ago, we have an elderly aunt that we used to give Christmas presents to. And she had never actually asked for something in particular, but this year she asked for cotton stockings, the kind that you pull and roll up. I had no idea where to get them, but I went shopping. The stores I went to never heard of cotton stockings, had no idea where I was going to find them. And this was before Google, which would have made this a lot easier. So then I go to the yellow pages and I start looking, hosiery, shoe stores, everything I could think of, trying to find cotton stockings. And then I thought, nursing homes. I would try that. So I went through again the yellow pages. I called nursing homes. I went one after the other, till I got to the last one I called. She didn't know anything about cotton stockings. This very young woman didn't. But then she said, You know, there's this store, and it was in a town about 30 or 40 miles away. It's a really old store. It's over 100 years old. They have a lot of odd things, and they might have something like that. I called the store, and they had cotton stockings. Clarity. I was really clear on what I wanted, and I set my intention because Aunt Sue was such a sweet woman and had never really asked for anything, and I wanted Aunt Sue to have those cotton stockings. And so once you set that strong intention, the universe conspires. It was inevitable in my intent. That is the way it was going to be. I found somebody who could give me a connection to what I needed to know. And that's the way it works. It works for us when we work with it. We have clarity, and then we make a decision or an intention around that idea, and then we learn to act on whatever's going on in our lives. And the intuition comes. You think of things, so you respond. The beauty of all of this is that there is an impulse and an energy in nature. Call it evolution, the urge to be bigger, to be more, to rise higher. And it's that flow of life that we tap into when we set our intention for the highest and best good for ourselves and for everyone else. And we can know that the grace of God tips the scales on the sides of fulfilling our highest and best desire. It's a wonderful thing. That is life unfolding. So I am calling on all of us this week to identify something in our own experience that we would like to change. And then set our intention around that. That I am going to support the idea that I no longer respond to negative impulses in my life, that I am allowing for my highest good simply to rise up. And then I'm going to be ready, because it's coming. It's coming to me, the ideas that I need to do, so I simply just open up to that. That, ladies and gentlemen, is life unfolding for your highest and best good. Thank you.
Our services are at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., and childcare is available. Please join us. If you enjoy these messages and would like to make a donation to our center, please visit our website at redondocsl.org. Thank you for your support of this ministry.